What I don't normally do is this. What I don't normally do is I don't react to people who are overtly stupid or are obviously trying to get reactions from people by saying crazy, ridiculous things. It's not what I usually do. But you know what? At this point, I think it's gone a little far. I think the idea that Representative Jasmine Crockett is putting forth, that what Trump wants to do is put us Black people back in the fields. That is the most outrageous, ridiculous thing ever, said by somebody who's acting like she's 24 when she's actually 48. Let's talk about it a little bit. So, a lot of people have been covering how extremely anti-Trump Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas is. Well, because you know what, it plays. She thinks it plays to her constituency. That's why she's doing it, throwing out all sorts of ridiculous accusations about the president. Just when it seems it couldn't get any more stupid, she comes up with the worst comment. Democrats' performative tricks weren't just merely limited to the outburst in the chamber on Tuesday, which was stupid enough. It's when Trump gave a speech to a joint session of Congress, the State of the Union address. She did her own thing. 24-hour State of the People marathon meant to counter Trump's speech. You heard about it? Of course you haven't, because nobody cares. And this is the worst thing for people like Jasmine Crockett, because the new currency is attention, and when they don't get attention, they act like small children. They their arms wave and they yell and they get upset and they say and do more stupid things to get your attention. It was then that she made some rather noteworthy remarks about the president, immigration, and Black folks. Rusty Weiss, cool dude over at Red State, and if you don't, you know, and if you're looking for more conservative outlets to read, Red State, redstate.com, super dudes. She shared, and we're going to share a little bit. Crockett doing some crazy stuff and going on a rant about how they've decided to go after immigrants and why, and things like they said, "Oh, they've taken your Black jobs. They're giving your Black, they're giving your Black jobs away." Well, and she's doing this, and she's saying this for a reason, and a lot of you may not understand. A lot of Black people, especially when I was a kid. Now I'm 64, so I was a kid. I was a kid 50 years ago, and there were and some of my wife's relatives, they were migrant workers. They were migrant workers. They also own their own farms. Or they own their own farms too. And so when they worked in the fields, they work in their own fields. They picking their own vegetables and culling their own animals. So that was part of it too. So they weren't all migrants, and some of these migrants went on the road and picked fruit, sent money back, built homes, raised families, sent kids to college, because you used to be able to do that, while doing those jobs. They did. And as things improved for Black people, not as they improved for Black people, people stopped doing those jobs. Um, that's the truth. Now, no one is suggesting, because you want to control the number of people and who comes into the country, that you're trying to transition Black people back into those jobs. Nobody is suggesting that. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's even suggesting it. It's a ridiculously outrageous thing to do, because here's let me go full circle. Here's what's going to happen when Democrats stop saying, "Well, who's going to pick our fruit and who's going to work in the fields?" Well, you know what's going to work in the fields? Automation. You know what's been working in the fields all along right now? Automation. Automation. Have you ever seen a combine? Have you ever seen a freaking combine? Have you ever seen how they harvest fruit and harvest vegetables? Very, very, very few people are out there picking corn. It just doesn't happen. Automation. Automation will make the difference. So nobody, let me help you. Nobody's going back to the fields. The only people who are going anywhere are people who aren't supposed to be in the country. Automation. So why doesn't Jasmine Crockett want to talk about that? It's because it doesn't get her any attention. It doesn't get her any attention. It doesn't get her any money in her campaign fund. So this is what she says. They obviously have jobs they want us to go back to. Crockett continued, such as working in the fields, and of course, the Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes III, who she was speaking to, could be seen nodding along. Yep, that's what they want to do. They want to put us back in chains. Remember Joe Biden, right? It is insanely ridiculous. Rusty also pointed out in his article, such claims are reminiscent of the 2012 re-election campaign for Barack Obama, when Joe Biden, his vice president, speaking before a crowd on the campaign trail, declared Republicans gonna put y'all back in chains. It is outrageously amazing and upsetting and offensive that these people continue to think that this is going to work on an educated population of Black people in America in 2025. So this fear-mongering talking points about immigrants may sound nice to the ridiculous, stupid-ass far leftists to gin up their support, but it doesn't make it true. As a matter of fact, it's wrong. They're blatant lies. So Democratic allies in the legacy media also repeat such narratives, though they, as we saw at the very start of the second Trump administration, especially over at CNN, that they continue to. It's ridiculously amazing. So, like about a week after Trump was inaugurated, Jake Tapper went with a similar talking point, speaking with Stephen Miller, who had also worked for the Trump White House both terms, and now is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Tapper rattled off numbers about illegal immigrants working in agriculture and fear-mongering on prices, even adding, in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans don't want to do. That's been something that people have been saying forever. That's not necessarily true. Not true. Do I want to work in the fields? Do I want my fat ass 64-year-old, bad knees, bad hip out there in the fields in the heat? No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. I know people who will. I know people who need a job who will. I know young folks who need jobs that will. But that's not even the point. That's not the point. What the left is talking about is keeping a slave class. It's the left that's talking about keeping a slave class. So when Jasmine Crockett brings up, well, they want to put Negroes back in the field. Their idea is we gotta protect the immigrants. I mean, her idea is even we gotta protect the immigrants and keep them the slave class. Because if not, we'll be the slave class. Like suddenly we all, because illegal immigration goes to zero. Suddenly we all find ourselves going back into the fields, picking massive cotton. Damn shame. Awful. It's awful. So anyway, prompting a smirk from Miller. When Miller did get the chance to speak, he called Tapper out for raising an argument about exploitative labor. I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question that we should supply America's food with exploitative, illegal alien labor. So exactly what Jake is saying is we need a slave class. We need somebody we can take advantage of. Because I don't want to pay a lot for my eggplants. Is that what you're saying, Jake? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Jasmine? that what you're saying? So the people that we're talking about, none of those illegal aliens that we're talking about that are in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Tampa, Miami, a lot of those border towns in Texas, none of them are out there doing farm work. None of them out there doing agriculture. None of them. Los Angeles? Oh, we're talking about New York that has about 400,000 illegal aliens. Are they traveling the country doing farm work? No, they are not. So what these people are saying is ridiculous, and it's lying, and it's manipulative, and it's racist, and it's offensive. Outrageous. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought in the country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought from Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua are not doing farm work. They are in our cities collecting welfare. As for farmers, there are guest worker programs that President Trump supports. There are people in certain areas that come and they, just like the migrant workers of old, come. They have a guest worker permit. They come in, they do their work, and they go home. They are not illegal aliens. That is not who we're talking about. But most of these illegal aliens that are in the country now, from the countries that we mentioned, like Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua, and other places in Central America, they are not coming here to do farm work. They have learned that it is a whole lot easier to go to San Francisco and get a check, or go to Chicago and get a check, or go to New York and get a check, go to Los Angeles and get a check. That's what they're doing. So let's not create these narratives that aren't true. Let's not propagate these narratives that are not true. Let's not do that. Now, this dude, Lord have mercy, Hank Johnson, who thought that if he had too many people on an island, it would turn over. Anyway, that dude, Democrat from Georgia, also gave some remarks about Black people. This time, this craziness about the Department of Education, that somehow getting rid of the Department of Education would defund schools and make it harder somehow for Black kids to get an education. The mental gymnastics required to come up with this BS is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Because here's the deal. Monies set aside for schools are out there, can be out there from Congress. They go to the state deals with it. And of course, we're back to the same thing. If there are voucher programs, and I talked about voucher programs in a previous video, that depending on what kind of school you have, you may or may not want to take vouchers. We didn't want to take vouchers, especially federal vouchers, in the Christian school that I worked in, and I told you why. But he's afraid that vouchers now will make, taking public money. Actually, it's not public money. It's a taxpayer dollar, and taking that and moving that with a child, so the parent can educate the child wherever the parent wants to educate the child, is somehow going to put public schools in a mess and or make them non-existent. So Black children will have less opportunity for an education, which is freaking ridiculous. It's outrageous. And I mentioned this scenario a number of years ago. There are two things that the soccer mom who lives in the gated community and the single mom who lives in the in an inner city housing development want. There's one thing that both of those women want. They want the best educational opportunity for their kid they can manage, they can get. They want their kid in the best school. They want them in the safest school that they can manage. They do. If there's something that they have in common, that's what these two women have in common. The white woman who lives in the gated community and the Black or Latino woman that lives in some housing development. The thing that they want most, the best educational opportunity for their kid. The woman who lives in the gated community, they may have the means to send their child to a charter school or to the best private school they can afford. The fact of the matter is that the woman who lives in the hood, who in the ghetto, who pays taxes through rent, or she pays the additional taxes through sales tax or whatever to the school district. Why can't she take her money and say, hey, I'm going to put my kid in this school here. I'm going to take this voucher and put my kid in the better school. Why must why must my Black child be locked in this school that is obviously failing? Why? Ask Jasmine Crockett, ask Hank Johnson, why must Black children, and I'll use their term, Black and brown children, be locked in these failing schools? Why? When there are voucher programs that will allow families to put their children in the best educational position possible. Why? So the Democrats' comments have been become sort of trending over on X. Even other members of Congress, such as Brandon Gill, a Republican from Texas, chiming in with a post that tanked both Crockett and Johnson. Gill called the comments deranged, completely off base, and insisted, that they should apologize. Well, this whole apologize thing. Let me tell you what an apology is. That way, you can take this with you if you don't get anything else out of this video. An apology is a two-part thing. You first have to be sorrowful for your action and say, I am sorrowful for my actions. And then the second part is that you have to pledge not to do it again. So asking for apologies is ridiculous. Just remember what they say and freeze their ass there. That's what you do. That's what you do. Anyway, we got to get out of here, make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.